Hello everybody, this is Tito Board and I wanted to make a video about the different types of qualification that an account executive can run to a prospect depending on where they are in their buyer's journey. And I think this is the most important thing that a lot of account executives get wrong. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to reverse engineer a buying process. I'm going to show you how from the closest to buying to the furthest away from buying, how the questions and the interactions change for an account executive. So we've all been there in that situation where a prospect comes inbound and the first thing you hear is that they already talked to 3 competitors, they've already seen a few demos, and they recently heard about you, you're a little bit late to the game, right? When you're there, that is a very different conversation. And for all intents and purposes, I do want to show examples or explain this in a way that everybody understands it. So I'm going to use an industry and a product that are easy to understand and both work for SMB as well as enterprise. What we're going to do is we're going to pretend I'm a restaurant or a chain of restaurants as a prospect. And as a seller, I sell reputation management. I help companies improve their ratings and reviews across Google, Facebook, and so on and so forth, Yelp, whatever else. So the reason I use this example, very relatable to everybody. Hopefully you've at some point Google or Yelp the restaurant before you go there and you understand that restaurants do need to manage that. It also helps for SMB because you can sell to just one location, which might be a $50 a month, $100 a month type of purchase, or maybe less. And then you can also sell to a chain of restaurants, whatever. The Cheesecake Factory can buy thousands of different locations, so they're independent and it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to manage multiple locations. So if somebody comes to you pretty late in their journey and they say, hey, you know what, Tito, I've talked to 7 different vendors. I am, I've collected a list of things that I care about. Can you guys respond to reviews? Can you collect everything in a dashboard? Can you aggregate all my reviews? Can you do this, 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 and this, and this? Even the initial conversation is very, very different. I might start in a very similar way. Hey, I'm Tito, blah, blah. I'm the expert for reputation management, XYZ company. I want to hear, what are you looking for? Why did you get in touch with us? Who else have you talked to? Those are all very valid questions. What are you trying to solve? What are you trying to improve? What is a KPI? What is a metric? Have you reassigned a budget? Have you gotten any other quotes from any other vendors? All these qualification questions, you can already see. I can even ask for a budget. If they're already met with 4 people, 4 other different vendors, and I can ask them, what's their approximate budget? That's a fair question. At this point in the journey, when they're close to making their decision, they already have some sort of idea of what their budget might be. Now, let's go a step back. Some other inbound leads that might come to you, they might send a contact us form via your website. They still haven't met with anybody. You're the first vendor they're meeting with. And many of them will come and say, hey, Tito, here's the thing. Our reputation isn't great. Our ratings and reviews online are sometimes lacking. Sometimes they're not as good. We need to improve them. I haven't talked to anybody yet, but I'd love to hear from you. What do you guys do? In that situation, they're maybe a step or 2 behind in the buyer's journey, right? I think there's lots of articles out there saying that a prospect has already done 57% of the work before they contact you. I'd say that's probably an average and that's somewhat accurate, but these guys are clearly a step behind the others that have talked to other vendors. So what do you want to do there? Well, you can still ask, what's the metric you want to drive? Are you mostly interested in increasing the number of reviews or increasing, the quality, like more 5-star, 4-star? Then you might ask about their current process. How are you currently requesting reviews? Do you have an easy way to leave reviews, at the restaurant on the table? Do you ask people for reviews? Do you ask your advocates for reviews? Do you respond to the negative reviews? Do you aggregate the data? Do you use Excel? Do you have a team? Do you do it in-source? Do you outsource? So a lot of times when they haven't talked to too many vendors, the first thing you really, really want to understand is what is their current process, right? Why would you do or not do a demo on that first discovery call, or even at least flash some differentiators? Well, if they have already seen 4 vendors and they're going to make their decision sometimes like, oh yeah, by this Friday, I need to present this to my boss and make a decision. And it's like Thursday morning. Well, like you have no chances to like collect a bunch of data for half an hour and schedule an hour demo for next week. So in those situations, you might need to like come in and do a disco demo on the spot and try to show something of value, or at least convince them they got to give you a little bit more time, right? If you're early in the process, you can collect a little bit more data. You might not even need a deck. You might just collect a lot of information and then design a deck or a second call that is much more targeted to their specific needs by asking them exactly how they're running the process, and they can come back to them with a very, very specific questions. Now, let's go a step back. Do you ever have demos where they come and they don't have a problem that they want to solve? A lot of people might be like, no, those are disqualified. And I'll tell you, that's not true. Because let's talk about outbound. Your SDR, right, just reached out to a prospect that they manage Cheesecake Factory. They're in charge of marketing. They really care about the SEO and the ratings and reviews on social media. And they haven't done anything with reviews, and the reviews suck. So you found an area of improvement, AKA they are an ICP or target account, and you know that if they use your product, they would be doing so much better as a company. So you have a KPI to improve. You understand the problem / opportunity / challenge they're having. You have a clear path to improve that. But when they show up to the call and you say, hey, Mr. Prospect, why did you take the call? They're like, well, a 22-year-old called me, told me I had to show up. You're going to blow my mind with information and ideas and thoughts on how to improve our reputation. And I don't know what I'm missing on, so blow my mind. That is a very different type of conversation. And what that requires is for you not to show the product or not to even do too many questions and too much discovery. What you jump into here is what I call an enlightening call, right? What you got to do is enlighten the prospect into what is it that they're missing out on that you can help with, right? If I'm Cheesecake Factory, I'm not taking care of my reviews. The way I would start the conversation is say, hey, prospect, thanks for taking the time. What I'm going to share with you today is how some of the most forward-thinking organizations are managing their online reputation today. And some of the things that I found about your company that might be areas of improvement for you that can drive tremendous amounts of revenue. So if you're okay with it, here's the agenda I have for the day. And I think in these conversations, you always need a deck, 100%. Now, do you need to follow the deck slide by slide, step by step? Not always. The conversation is going to steer in one or another direction. But I think it's very important to always have a deck with a very clear agenda and start with insights and say, well, the first thing I want to share with you is how certain companies are killing it in online reputation management and driving much more traffic. For example, let me show you whatever, California Pizza Kitchen versus whatever, TGI Fridays, and how they manage their reviews, and why when you type pizza, you get to X person versus this other place or whatever. It might be a burger place or it might be whatever type of place. But you get the idea. You got to start the conversation not with what are your problems or what are you trying to accomplish. That won't get you anywhere with somebody who's coming from an outbound channel. It will also get you nowhere with somebody who's like very close to making the decision. So from our experience and what we've seen from the best and like most experienced reps is cold outbound conversations are handled one way, which is a enlightening deck, which helps the prospect understand what the problem is. Then there's a second type of deck, which is a early inbound deck, which is one that is maybe the deck isn't even needed. It's a different type of conversation. Is where are you in your journey? What do you need? What are the KPIs you're trying to solve? Are you and I a good fit to talk together and work together? And then there is the, hey, I've already talked to a bunch of vendors. I want you to show me stuff really quick. I understand what I'm trying to accomplish. I've already seen other solutions. I just need a quick demo on pricing. So think about it. both as you buy and as you sell, where is your prospect in their buyer's journey, and how can you meet them where they are to give them the best possible experience so that they consider your solution as the best solution for them. Hope that was helpful. Cheers.